Hello, hello, hello. We're about to start another not so fashion talk show. I'll wait for our guest to show up online and we can go for it. Where is YouTube? Okay. Hello.
Hey, it's easier than I thought.
Yes, it's a lot easier. Uh, well, first of all, let me apologize because you are in Mexico City, correct?
I'm in Mexico City, that's right.
And I'm in Colorado, and we have a little discrepancy with the time here. Like I
I
thought
know.
something else, but sorry about that.
Don't worry. Something got lost in the translation or something.
It's exactly.
I'm ready. I'm
Uh,
here. Thank you very much for the invitation.
oh, thank you. So, for those, I gonna today is actually I don't know. It's more official now that I'm doing this live show. It's I call the Not So Fashion Talk Show because I'm a man and I like to talk about deep feelings. I like to talk about existence, and a lot of not every men like to do that. I try to do supporter groups for men for a long time, and I could never get people to do. So I decided to have this show where I actually talk about feelings and things like that. And I came across with you on my other profile. We start following each other because you do some amazing things. And when the other day you post something about body image, I'm like, okay, I need to interview you because I went through this process and it's very it's difficult and not a whole lot of people talk about it, even though everybody suffers with it. But so I will let you introduce yourself first because you have a very unique story, what you sent to me, and I think we can have great conversations here. So I don't know if I can if I pronounce it right, but your name is Rocio
Rocío.
Cerdero.
Rocío
Cerdero. Okay.
Cerdeira. Mhm.
So welcome, and please share with us a little bit of your story.
Well, thank you very much. It's funny that you say that because you're a guy, you want to share your feelings, and not many men do that, no? Because
Yeah,
I started this project with the way I felt in some time. I had lots of issues with my body and the way I felt about myself and my self image and lots of things that make me feel that I was less than what I would really was. So I started this to share it with other women because I thought that many other women would be in the same place I was. But I was very surprised now that I started running my YouTube channel that I have half men and half women, and I'm so happy that there's so many men now talking about how they feel and share it with everybody else. It's fantastic. I think we are living a change in these times that we haven't seen a lot of time before, and we've grown up in a way that made that very difficult. But now that we have these things, the internet and so
yeah,
many information available for everyone, it's when people starting to open up and tell about their insecurities and the issues they have and they deal with in everyday life, no? And it's funny that you told me that you have the same issues with your body, that you have some body image trouble sometime in your life. And
yeah,
the thing is that everybody has that. Everybody has something in their body that they don't like, no? Your nose or your eyes or your ears or your height, your weight, whatever. The thing is that we grew in a society that showed us that the way you look is the way that you are supposed to be treated, and that shows what you deserve or not in life. And that's
yeah,
so not true. because everybody has a thing. The thing is that you learn to love yourself as you are, to stop focusing on what you don't like, because everybody has things that they don't like, and
Yeah.
to start looking at yourself as a whole. No, you're not just the outside, but the inside, and we all have in a very unique way to things we can offer to the world and to the people, and share with everyone else.
Yeah. I know
So
it's interesting because what you said actually gave me goosebumps. I think we are going to a transition that is much bigger than we can actually explain, but everybody's so focused on the COVID and the negative of the COVID and all of that stuff when there is something much bigger happening, which is it's people opening up and people showing, which a lot of people would think that is a dark side, because it's insecure. Nobody wants to show insecurity. Everybody wants to show the strength, and nobody actually it's thinking about that. And it's funny because, we talk about body image. I remember when I was a professional athlete, I didn't even want to run without my shirt because I thought I was fat. That, like it wasn't, like I was so worried about how I looked. And I actually got in a lot of trouble because I've been in a diet pretty much since I was 12 years old, trying to, set my body or whatever and change it. And it got me to a lot of trouble in life. It's hard, you
it's
know?
hard, and at the end you realize that it's not that really important, because the people that love you will love you anyway. I was the fat
Yes.
one in the family. I was the fat cousin and the fat sister. And to be honest to you, if someone had told me when I was, I don't know, 13 or 14 years old, you can eat whatever you want and just put your finger and throw up, I would have done that. I was so desperate of being thin like the other ones around me
Yeah.
that I would have done anything. You don't realize how much damage you can do to your body and to yourself just to get to some kind of ideal image that at the end will not resolve any of the internal problems that you really have, because this
Exactly. Yeah.
low self-esteem comes from somewhere. No, it's not your body, it's
Yeah.
what you really have inside, what matters. And I think
And,
that the
and it,
COVID, you said something very true about the COVID. I think the COVID took out the best and the worst of everyone.
exactly.
Some
Yeah.
no some people really use this time to look to other things that were important. You don't need a fancy car, you don't need designer clothes, you don't need a perfect body. You need something else. You need the people, you need the love, you need the closeness with others. And of course it took the bad side of many other people who didn't work on themselves, and there's a lot of people living with fear and with anxiety and all that. No, it's funny, but I really think that mostly it's a period of time. As you said, we are in a transition. It's not about just the COVID. It's what's happening in the rest of the world. No, that we are seeing things that we have never seen before, and I think that's what we have to focus on, not in the way you look to get things or something.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm actually writing. I have a e-magazine that I'm coming back that I started in 2018, no, 2019, and I'm coming back now. And my first article is actually about the COVID time, how I use it to go within and kind of face my fears and kind of clear it up because I'm a Reiki master, and the energy that I felt that was coming from the planet was an energy to go inwards and kind of clean up all that bad stuff that you've been carrying there for years. Because, like you said, like I don't know which year you were born, but like the way I was grew up, like everything, like the way I looked, and I grew up in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Like over there, if you didn't have a nice body on that time, you were nothing, like
I
literally.
know.
So that Rio de Janeiro is all about the body. So it's kind of like, and the way we grew up, and then now like it's giving us the opportunity to go within and do that clear. So it's very interesting that you felt the same
Yes, I
way
did.
that I felt. So it's kind of like putting all it all together. It's we're going to a fantastic time, but you know, in order to get to the good part of it, you have to face the bad part of it. So
You have to, and that's why people don't do it, because it's scary. It's
it's
scary, the
scary.
things that you
It's
find,
painful.
and you just take out one layer and you discover there's something else in the bottom, no? And you keep taking out layers and layers of things that you said, where did this come from, no?
Yeah.
How did I get these beliefs of everything about myself and everything around me? And it's scary. It's scary to see that everything you used to know and you used to live by, it's maybe not true anymore and not
Yes.
useful anymore, no? And you have to become a new person, a resourceful person, with and be creative about what you are going to do from this day on. So
Yes.
it's a hard work. Not everyone
It's
is in the mood to do it.
not at all because it's painful in a way, you know, like you got to look at sides. And I totally agree with you. Like when we talk about body image, it goes beyond of what, you know, like how we look and anything. Like it's more a self-esteem issue.
That's right.
And to go find that self-esteem again, to reinvent yourself and realize that you are worth it, it's a very hard thing to do. But it's very rewarding as well, you know, like it's kind of like you come out as a brand new person, as lighter, you see the world different. But until you
That's
get to
right.
that point, you know.
Yes, it's hard. It's hard to get to that point. And that's why I usually give this advice to everybody. Stop looking at yourself, and as you look at yourself always, and get and use these people that like you, your friends, your family, your, I don't know, boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, whatever, and ask them, because it's impressive how other people see you and you don't realize that. And usually the
Yeah.
people who care about you is the people that see the good things in you that you don't know
You
you
don't
have.
really see it, yeah.
And I always tell everybody to do that, because it's we always want to start with ourselves, and it's important to go inside and start with yourself. But take advantage of the people that love you, and let them help you get started. If someone tells you that you are not, I don't know, whatever positive things they can tell you, really try to find evidence of that in your life. Well, self-esteem has been an issue for almost all
I,
my
I
life.
was going I was going to ask you that what made you start the change, and how was it for you?
Well, it was like it was for mostly all people. I had to go through this dark night. No, the day that you get to the bottom and you say, I cannot keep living like this. I mean, things have to be different. It's not possible that I have to wake up and pay bills and work and pay more bills, and life has to be about something else. So I have this day when I just couldn't go on like I was going, and I started to search and to look. And I have a very good friend that let me do that, and she gave me a lot of advices to where to start, what to read, what to see, to start doing things. I tried lots of things until I found the approach that served me, because we are all different. Some people go to spirituality. Some people, I now I'm very spiritual, but I had to start with the science approach. It was easier for me to understand that, how
Yeah.
the brain worked, and how we can change thoughts, and when you can change thoughts, you can change feelings and the way you act and the way you do things. So I started with science, but I started moving to my spiritual part after that. But I started, as most of the people, with pain, with a lot of pain, and I think it's the best part, because you release your ego completely. It's like,
Yes.
I don't know what to do. I please someone tell me what to do, because I don't know what to do from here. And the things start coming, the information start coming, and the people you need to talk to and the people you need to know starts coming. So that's why I advise people to do this, no? To ask friends and family, how do they see you? What good things do they see in you? Because it's almost impossible that people don't tell me, don't answer that question. People want to help and want to say good things about the people they love.
Yeah.
So in my example, I have a very good friend. I told you she told me to start doing several things, and one day she told me, think of yourself as if you were another woman you don't know, but you know what she has done and what she has achieved in her life.
Yeah.
I never saw myself. I started thinking, and I say, well, yes, I have done great things, and I have accomplished a lot of things, starting being a single mother for a long time and having 3 kids that now are adults and don't need me anymore. So I must have done something good with that.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
so but it was funny how she said, don't look at yourself as you always do. Look at yourself as you were something you don't know. And and from that point of view, start seeing all the good things that you have done. Of course, all the things that you have to work on also, no? But
Yeah.
we never recognize the good things that we do or we have. And I think that's our first problem. We have to start recognizing that we have and do good things.
Yes. Yeah.
No?
Yeah. It's funny because I went to the a different process. Like I always found myself a little bit more spiritual, but I didn't really got fixed in anything. I just like went searching. But I was like chubby, and I got to the same point of view. Like I actually hurt myself, like physically, like just hitting, not cutting, anything like that. Um, and I found myself in the bottom. But on that time, like I was overweight, I was smoking, so I went the opposite. I went and became an athlete. But during becoming an athlete, I was like, wait a minute, I'm doing the same thing, but in just on the other side of it, like so I was too extreme, and it wasn't really what I was looking for. I wanted something more harmonic in the middle,
You were
but I
hurting
was like,
yourself.
yeah, I ended up hurting myself and my health, which was never my intent. I mean, yes, it was cool. I learned a lot, but so I went from one side to the other, and then I was like, no, it's not here. And then I had to kind of get back to it. And becoming a father made it a huge difference, because I was like, how am I going to pass that to my kids? Like I want to pass, not any of the extremes, but I want to pass like something that I think is right. But you kind of have to hit that bottom part to like, okay, I need to bring myself up. And
Not everybody.
how
Some
do I
people
do
just
that? So your
awake.
ego is so destroyed.
Some people just awake spontaneously, but I think it's the less of the people. I think we have to go to that bottom part. So you have to change everything and change all the structures and all the ideas and everything you have ever lived with. It's difficult, but it's worthy. It's completely
It's
worthy
working.
because it's when you start seeing life without fear.
Exactly.
And
And this is the time and the moment that we actually need to start seeing life without fear.
that's right. That's why I work so much. My YouTube is basically about relationship, but it's mostly about taking care of yourself and releasing the fears and everything. Which at the end, everything is connected and everything
It's
has
connected.
something to
Yeah.
do. No, when you do
Yeah.
one thing right, usually you take it to other parts of your life and you can see it. But it's hard work, and I'm glad that you realized that when you became a father, because I didn't do that when I became a mother. It took me a lot of time to do that,
Oh,
and
really?
I can see that my sons and even my daughter, they still have some things that I show them, no,
Uh,
about fear and about being insecure. And of course now I can talk to them other way, but they still have to work those things that I showed them in the moment when they were kids. So
yeah.
it's great that you notice on time, because
Well,
you don't know how much harm you can do to your own kids when you don't believe in yourself.
well, thank you for that. And one thing, I'm pretty sure they're still gonna have a lot of traumas because of me, because I'm not perfect. But I think we, because my kids, have special needs. Like I think that brought me the intensity to do the change. because like the truth is, I promised my wife that I was going to deal with my depression before we become like as we becoming a father, because I didn't want to pass them to him. Uh, and then when he was born, and there was that the scary moment that we were in the NICU, we were between life and death for a long time. That kind of opened up me in an intensity that I wasn't expecting. So but I was like, now is the moment to change, because if I haven't accept myself, how am I gonna teach him to accept himself? And that kind of like triggers, and
I
my
know.
ego was already shut from before, and then that now it was like, now it's like it's now or never, and I had to lose the fear somehow, uh, and
And you saw
go
it, and
forward.
you realized that, because many people never do that. I mean,
Yeah,
when your son was born, it was like your disruptive moment, no? And the
yeah,
click got into you. But there's so many people that cannot do it, and they just cannot see more than all the bad things that happen to them, no? And what
yeah.
it's and they can do it. So congratulations! It's great that you did it.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
I'm so happy when I find people that does these things, because you've been there, I've been there, and we know it's difficult. It's not an easy work. So it's great when someone can do it and really sees things differently,
Yeah,
because
and
you project that to your people, to the people that is next to you, and these people that is next to you will project it to the people that is next to them. So
yeah.
it's the way to make the change. I think it's the only way.
Yeah, it's the ripple effect. Once you do it, as a coach, I saw that with my athletes. Like somebody start getting healthier meals at home, everybody else start going through that process. So, which is great. I mean, I think that's what we actually want. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's amazing the work that you're doing, and I really appreciate it. And one thing that caught me was when I asked you to come talk to me and ask you for a bio. You said like I'm don't like the words coach and guide,
No,
and I don't
I
like it
think it's
either because
overused.
yeah, because I think they ended up thinking like first of all, a coach will have like a perfect
A
formula, and
perfect
will you
life.
feel, yes, and then you kind of project that onto the person, and like, and I think it's amazing because I come from the same point of view as you. So but I want you to explain a little bit more how you think it's overused, and why, and all of that stuff.
I think everybody's a coach now, no? Or a teacher or a spiritual guide, and everybody wants to show things. And the problem is that sometimes when you're in a vulnerable place and you're looking for help, that might get negative because you depend on one person exclusively. And as we said, the job has been done by oneself. I mean, no one can do whatever you won't do for yourself. So I try not to use the word coach, because I rather talk about my experience, say what I did, say what worked for me, and maybe give other options that didn't work for me but work for people that I know. And and do not make people depend on what I have to say so they can make a move in life, because that happens a lot. And
Yeah.
sadly, there are people who take advantage of this, which I think it's a horrible thing to do, to take advantage of a person that is vulnerable and it's desperately needing, looking for help. So that's why I don't like the word. I think it's overused and not in a good way.
Yeah, it's funny because I did a few courses, and all of them they say like, well, you gotta find a problem and bring a solution. I was like, yeah, but life is not just problem solution.
That's right.
It's a lot more than that. Like, and I come from a prospect of health is a matter of mind, body, and soul. And like, I don't know about you, but it seems
Yeah,
like you in the same process pretty much too. It kind of like you kind of have to have all three balance out, otherwise it won't work.
that's right. That's right. Balance is important. And as I said,
Yeah,
when you do one thing in one area, it reflects in the other ones immediately. But you have to be aware of that.
yeah,
And you have to do it by yourself.
yeah. And it's so funny that we are in the same boat in terms of, yeah, like, because I think that happened with a lot of people during COVID too. It's like, even though I follow you from way before COVID, but uh, um, I think for a lot of people, like I said, I think everybody here has something to teach and something to learn.
Everybody.
And we can all learn with each other and grow with each other. But and a coach, I think it kind of takes a little bit out of that. And plus, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in my experience, I think it has a lot to do with taking the responsibility for yourself. And if you put everything on a life coach, you're still projecting everything from the outside. You're still
That's right.
expecting a hero to come and save you when the hero is inside, you
That's
know?
right. You cannot expect someone come and save you in anything. I mean, COVID showed us this. No, people are waiting for the magic solution so we can live our lives as we used to again. And there are no magic solutions. Governments do not know. And if they know, maybe it's just business. I mean, I'm not going to touch to get into that right now. But what government is interested in really saving you? No one. The saving has to come from you.
Yeah.
And for everything. You
Yeah,
cannot
especially
sit and
because,
wait. You cannot sit and wait for someone else to come and do the things and save you. No?
yeah,
You have to move.
especially because like we haven't heard anything about health in those days. We heard all of
No,
it. Yeah, stay home, watch TV, eat the crap that you always eat, and wait for the vaccine. But like health is a little bit more than that. You kind of need to, and in order to have your body health, you need to have your mental health,
that's
which
right.
like it's all connected. So it's like if you don't take care of one, what are you gonna do with the other?
That's
you know.
right. You have to take care of everything. We need everything. And it's been difficult. I was telling people in the video you saw about body image that since we've got locked down, I haven't moved a muscle of my body, and I don't feel good about that. I have to start doing exercise again, not because I want to look good. Of course, I want to look good, but because I know that's the best thing for me. I mean, you're a Reiki teacher. What you say, a Reiki
Ricky Master, yeah.
master. I
Yeah.
mean, you know the importance about moving the body and the energy inside the body,
Yeah.
so you can have a different point of view about things and seeing things differently. So I'm a little bit sick of not being able to do that, but I'll find a way. I find a way.
Yeah,
Things
you
I
always
want to
like,
go outside.
yeah. I go in my backyard and it's like you don't need much, to be honest. Like I think that's one thing that you said in the beginning. We learned it with COVID that you actually don't need much. You don't need the car a whole lot. You don't need like certain things. You can always walk a little bit more, and will be better for the planet. Will be better for you. Will be better for everybody.
I'm doing some of that. I'm doing some of that. But I was used to the gym, so I really miss the gym.
Oh
I
yeah, yeah.
walk and I have things, but it's not the same. It's not the same. But
Yeah, well, that's one thing. Like as you age, you need more weight training, and closing the gyms wasn't, I think, a really good idea. But we're not here to discuss that. We can
no,
do
we're not.
another live and talk about it.
No, that's for another show because it's lots of things
For
to talk
sure,
about.
for
But
sure.
I have they are open here in Mexico already. The gyms are open already, but I refuse to wear the mask to go to the gym. So that's why I'm
Yeah,
not going.
it's hard. It's how are you
I
gonna run with
know,
the mask?
I
It's
know.
very hard.
So I'm still waiting for they to
Yeah,
release us from that stupid mask.
yeah, we will get there. I use it in closed places, but when I go exercising, it's very hard to. But I just skateboard on open doors, and I do yoga, and I do my weight with just regular stuff. So, but for somebody going to the gym, it's very very hard. I agree with you, uh,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but it is what it
Well,
is.
I'll manage it some way.
Yeah. Now, can you tell me a little bit of the things that you usually talk about on your YouTube channel, which is awesome?
Yes, of
Uh,
course. It's basically two things I talk about. It's about personal growth, and I give them tips that serve me in the moment of simple things that you can start doing. That it's don't think that changing inside is, it sometimes seems overwhelming, no, that it's like I have so much to do, and sometimes it's just about little changes you have to start doing. So I try to give them those kinds of tips. But the big success of my YouTube channels is about relationships, especially broken hearts. People want to
oh,
tell me, want them that I tell them that how to fix that, how to make the ex come back, or things like that. But my approach is the same. No, you have to work in you. You have to work in yourself so you can make the relationships work. Because if you're not okay, probably the person that is with you won't be okay either. No, the
yeah,
toxicity is contagious.
contagious.
and
Yeah,
and when you're inside that something, some kind of toxic situation or relation, it's very difficult to see it. You get used to those treatments of things or way you live, so it's difficult to see it from when you are inside. You have to step back and make a different approach. So basically, it's about that:
yeah.
growing, personal growing, and relationships. But
You know, it's
they're
funny.
not very interested about the things to be happy. They are interested about how I make them come back.
Oh yeah,
The exes
it's
come back.
it's that possession and control that you kind of have to let it go at one point
I know,
in
but
order to.
it's interesting, and I'm learning a lot. I mean, I learn a lot from the comments of people, and I told you I was very amused to see how many men are really worried about these things and are suffering about these things, because as women we used to think that men are the bad guys in the story, no,
Yeah,
and men are the ones who make bad things. Or for example, I had an article about ghosting, and it's incredible. It's half and half. It's not just men who do those things. It's men and women. We are both equally being mean with each other.
yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. So it has been very, very interesting to relate to men, because I started this up thinking about women only, my approach as a woman.
Yeah.
But I learn a lot from men, a lot. And they are
No,
as
yeah,
sensitive and as vulnerable as any woman in the world.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's we're just not, let's put it this way, trained as a society to talk about those things. And when
I
they
know.
talk, a lot of the times they make fun of it, and then you're like, okay, why are gonna even go to that trouble to listen to a bunch of, you know what I mean? Like, but I think uh, uh, I noticed some of the dads are actually starting to talk, but it's still kind of difficult to be like, hey, but it's needed. Like we can clearly see it's needed, and people are wanting it to talk. And I think online in those comments, sometimes it's easy to just let it out because, like, especially on YouTube, not everybody knows. Um like they have different usernames, so it's not like Facebook that you have the
Yes,
picture and
you know
yeah,
who's
so you
talking.
don't know who it is, and the guy can write whatever he wants and be okay with it. So, I mean, it is a change, but and it's funny, like when I started talking about this, like actually more women started following me than actually the opposite. So it's interesting how it goes. Uh,
Yes, it is. But it's
I
nice
guess
to
like
know that we are all wanting the same things. No? We
yes,
just don't
yeah.
know how to get there, but we're trying.
Yeah, and being vulnerable, it's one of the keys thing to do it because then you really open up. And I think one of the things you always say over there, it's incredible because for me, one thing I learned it was you can pour from an empty cup. So if you
That's
don't
right.
love yourself, you won't be able to start loving people around you, and
And you
that's
cannot receive the love because you don't know how to do it.
yeah,
It doesn't matter how much the other tries. You just won't believe that you deserve love from other person. So the main point and the basic point about everything is start loving yourself. Start
yes.
knowing your power, start knowing your good things, start knowing who you really are, and not what you have ever thought you were or someone told you you were. So start knowing yourself.
Now, in your experience, what was your first thing that you did? Like, you hit rock bottom, and what happened after that? You were like, uh, what did
The
you? What
first
was the first thing you did?
the first thing I did was starting with meditation. I
Interesting.
realized, yes, because I realized that my brain never stopped. It was like a continuous train of bad thoughts and bad feelings, and now I know that when you stay with a bad thought for 7 minutes, then another one will click instantly and will be bad the same. And the same happens with the positive thoughts. And sometimes I remember I used to go to the running or walking or something, and I used to say, well, it's my me time. No, my me time was letting my brain, with all the bad thoughts that I have all day and all the worries and all the things I had to do and all the things I had to be responsible of, and it was terrible. My me time was terrible with
Yeah.
myself. So I I knew about meditation, and for a long time I thought meditation was something that like a pose from some people who wanted to show up or something. But when the things need to come, they come in the moment that you are ready to get them. So I said, well, I have nothing to lose. I need to do things different. I have to start with meditation. And of course, it was very difficult. It's very difficult to retrain your brain to stop thinking so much
Yeah.
and to slow the all the thinking. But I did it. I mean, I started with maybe 3 minutes, and I gradually,
Progressively.
yes, yes. So now I do it every day, every morning, and every night. I meditate. I love meditating. I love going, losing myself. A lot of people, I say a lot of people that many people says, I can't do that. It's impossible for me to quiet my mind. Well, you don't have to quiet. You just have to not pay so much attention to the things that you're thinking.
Exactly.
But there are lots of guided meditations for people that can do it by just breathing and staying calm. So you have to start some way. And I started with meditation. Then I changed. I started to be more regular in the gym. I mean, going a certain time. I have like some structure in that part, and writing,
Right.
and of course reading and learning from every approach I could, because I've told you now I'm very spiritual, but it was very difficult for me at that time. So I had to start from other approaches, and I started with neuroscience and quantum physics. I love that,
Quite
because
yeah. Quite
quantum
physics
physics
is awesome.
is this close to say we know how God works. No, this is the
Yeah.
way God works. I love all the discoveries of that. So I started that, and I had to read every day, and started learning something, putting things in practice, and seeing what works, what didn't work for me, because some things just didn't work for me, and that's why. But meditation was my starting point. Was the basis of everything. It was the way I could calm my brain, and in the moment that you stop all the bad thinking, it's the moment that you can start seeing the things in the other way around. You can start
Yeah.
seeing the positive things that you keep missing because you're so busy thinking of the bad. No, and your focus goes to the good things, because everybody has good things and bad things every day, all day,
Oh, yeah.
and but they're not usually terrible things or super happy things that happens to us every day. Usually we're in like a gray area every day. No, so
Yeah.
it's you decide this gray area. What I'm going to do with this? I'm going to look at the good side or the bad side, and you can do that every day, all day, every day, all day. Of course, there are things that are bad things and make you sad, and you have to deal with the processes and that. But it's not what happens to you almost every day.
Yeah.
So it's a personal decision. It's a personal
Yes.
decision. And I think meditation is a great way to do that. And
It's,
sometimes the when you learn to stop all this bad thinking, you don't make it on purpose, but the answers just come. Suddenly
yeah.
you just know. No? And that's what I love about meditation.
Yeah,
You
I
just
was going
know.
to say, I was going to say that, like, even if you don't know what to look for, just shutting it up, you'll be able to understand what you need to understand. And the crazy part is, like, once you start understanding one thing, the things start showing up. Like, even like, doesn't you don't need a whole lot of effort. It will just start popping up, and then you're like, okay, now you know I'm starting to understand, and then you start making changes in your life. And
That's
sometimes
right.
you're gonna do one that you're like, okay, that's not really it. Let me go to the other one. But the moment that you plant that seed, and it comes with meditation, I can back you up 100% on that, because it comes on meditation. Once you meditate, you're like, oh, okay, now you start making little changes, and when you see, you completely.
Yes, I know. It's a little
But one
step at a
thing,
time. Little step at a
little
time.
bit
And
of
when you
time.
realize it's a huge change, you are a completely different person that you were, I don't know, a year ago or something. It's like, wow, how could I have been that person? I don't recognize myself in that. No, it's
Exactly.
fantastic.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I love
And
that.
and it's interesting, because one thing that this conversation, like this subject, brings to me, it's like, one thing I don't like about the coaching part of it is they all kind of try to say that it's instant change. Like, I see some ads that are like, create uh, your online course in 72 hours. Like, it's impossible to put
It's
a
impossible.
life story in 72 hours and sell it and become rich like they're promising. It's like, no, like, every change that you do, like, for me, the biggest changes I made in life took about 5 years to completely change and start completely seeing any type of results. It's at least 5 years, like, easily,
Me too. I've been in
but
this path like 5 years, more or less. Also,
yeah, yeah. So
it's a huge work. But the good thing
yeah,
about
it's
it is
not
that
like.
once you start, you don't want to go back. Even if it hurts and it's painful, and once you start, you just can't go back. You just
Yeah,
can't go back to what you were, and that's the fantastic part of this. That you are working on becoming a better version of you, one step at a time, every day, and you can fall down, and you just well stand
it's
up and
it's
continue
literally
and try again.
it's literally like the Matrix. Once you take the pill, like,
I
once you
know.
meditate, you'd never go back. It's like, it's impossible to go back there. It's literally impossible. You just
It's
got to be
exactly
ready for
that.
it.
And you know what's funny now that you're talking about the pill, the red pill, is that it really opens your consciousness and your awareness, and it's not just inside, because you start to see things of you that you didn't know you have and you didn't know you could do, but you start to see the world differently. You start to see that many things out there were not what you thought they were, and it's incredible how you have a different view about everything, everything.
Everything, everything.
And every day it's something new and something new and something new, and I think it's amazing. I think that we are here to learn every day, and reach the good of everything that you get in, and it's a fantastic way of living. I mean, you all actually, I was talking to a friend the other day, and I told him, now I really think I'm not afraid of dying. And that's something very different. I mean, I said, well, I don't want to do it now. No, it's of
Yeah,
course. But I don't think that I owe anything to life, or life owes anything to me. We're cool. We're fine. I'm just living every day at a time and seeing what I decide to see in every
yeah.
day. And it's
And
fantastic.
And I think when you go within, you kind of recognize your mistakes and you get in terms with it. And I think a lot of the fear, like we can see in COVID, a lot of the fear of dying right now, it's probably because a lot of people think, like, man, I'm an asshole and I never dealt with that. It's true. It's like, I never dealt with my mistakes. And when you go within, you kind of make, it's like, yes, on that time, I didn't know that, or I didn't know that, and it's okay. You kind of forgive yourself in order to love yourself.
That's
And
right.
like, I think that's part of the process of losing that fear and being okay with it. So now,
It's part of this that I was telling you, that you are today, now that you start looking at those things, you know that you are not the person that did those things. The other
yes,
person did those things because they deal with the things with what they had at the moment.
yeah,
And recognizing that you did bad things, it's okay, because now you know what you won't ever do again and why. So
yeah,
it's a process, but we were taught that if you were a bad person, you have to deal with that for the rest of your life, and that you will die and go to hell. And
exactly.
no, also, you were a bad person, you will be a bad person forever. And that's not true. That's not true. We can all change whenever we take the decision to do it.
Yeah, fantastic. It's fantastic. It
Hmm.
just proves me that, because I like to connect things. And, once I went to this process, I started seeing like other people that went to similar process and they pretty much did the same thing that you and I, like just the first three things you said, I did it as well. Which comes to my next question. What type of the things you wrote about it?
What
I
type
know
of?
you said meditation and writing and reading.
Uh-huh.
So writing, what did you write about it?
Well, writing was the most difficult part for me,
For me too.
because okay, because at the beginning I feel pretty stupid doing that.
Yeah,
Because
I mean
people,
it feels weird.
you too, people just said, you just write whatever you want about, whatever you're feeling in the moment. And I felt a little bit stupid doing that. But it's funny when you finally try it and stop having fear about it. It's like, I'm going to write, and no one is going to read this anyway, so it's just for me. So at the beginning, I started writing about the things I discovered of myself, the things I regretted, the things made me suffer in the past, the things that I wanted to change. I started about that. The typical letters about forgiving someone else, or asking for forgiveness to someone else that maybe you won't see, or do not want to see. Just write it down. Write, what are you feeling bad about? And right now, I'm just in this process of free journaling. No, that is stop as soon as I finish meditating, I just start writing. And sometimes I really have no idea of what I wrote until I finish, and I have to read it again and see what happens. But that took me a long, long time. It was not that simple, but that's what I'm doing right now. But at the beginning, it was just what you felt. I mean, what do you want to tell someone, or what do you want to tell yourself? No one is going to read it. It's just for you. So it's good to let those things go out and put them in writing, because when you write, your brain recognizes it better, and internalize it better. So writing is great. It's
When
great.
you write and read too.
And read, yes, of
Yeah.
course. Well, reading is, I mean, you have to
But
read every day.
it's funny because like I had similar stuff. Like I always wanted to write my book, which is coming on Halloween 2021.
Aye, great.
Uh, yes, finally. But I always wanted to write my book, my story, because like it started with the losing weight story, but it ended up becoming something much bigger than I expected. But I like in 2020 I wrote, but when I first started writing, meditating and writing, I was actually writing for my inner child because I talk about going within, being the inner child revolution. So I in the beginning I started writing stuff from my inner child, saying like, hey, you're not guilty of that, you're not going to hell because of that, and this and this and this. So we went to similar processes, but I like for me, the way of getting out of the silliness was to write for someone. And then I was just being the dad of my my inner child, and saying like, hey, the dad and the mom, like I was just writing the things that I was feeling and explaining to him and with what I know now. So I think it's fantastic what you said because it's two different perspectives, but in the end it's the same formula that we use it to get out of it.
I think the inner child, that thing they're saying, it's a great advice to people, because that's something I did later also with my writing. And the way I approach it is like, I knew that me as a child was not happy for many things.
Yeah.
So when I talk to my inner child, I don't know if I'm doing it right or wrong, because many of these things I just invent them for myself. But it's like, you can do it, and you have to say what you want, and you all the things that I didn't do when I was a child, I'm telling my inner child to doing that, because I like to think that somewhere in a different place, time, density, or whatever, there's this Rocio as a child taking the advice that I'm giving her right now, and that she's going to grow up differently than I did, because she has all this advice that I'm giving. I mean, and these are things that I invented for myself because they serve me. So don't be afraid to try and invent things that make you love you in any way.
Yes, exactly.
however, however, you don't have to go
Yeah,
to a coach to tell you what to do. Sometimes you can just create things that serve you,
yeah.
even if
Just
no
go
one else
within.
has told them about that, no?
Yeah, I totally back you up on that. I think it's probably one of the best things you can do for yourself. It's exactly that. Like go
That's
within
right.
and face that whatever it is that is inside of you, and you kind of have to go that route. I think it's
You have you have to be strong inside. And then when you go and look at the mirror and you see that you don't like your nose so much, or I don't know, you gain a few pounds or something, you know you can do something about that. No? You know that you have the strength and the power to do something about that. Maybe it's not perfect, the result will not be as perfect as you wish, but
yeah.
you can do something, no, to change that you don't like in the outside. But you can do anything until you go to the inside and fix that love, that self-love.
Yes. Now, I have two more questions because I don't want to take too much of your time, and we're almost to 1 hour. As usual, my shows always go out because, like I said, I love to talk and I love to learn and share with others. I think that's one of the greatest things in life.
Okay, I try
Which
to be
then, what?
to give shorter answers. Promise.
No, you good. Just take your time. Like I don't want to take your voice out, but what I'm trying to say is like I always ended up going over because, especially because my book, I think it brings a lot of things that a lot of people dealt with, such as we talk body image. Uh, so, what's one book that helped change your life?
What book changed my life?
Like, yeah, one book that you suggest for somebody today that it will definitely change their life.
Well, I started this journey. I mean, I have read lots of books of different people through time now, but I think that if you're starting in this journey, for me, it was very easy because I just think this lady was so simple and so easygoing. Um, Everything about I forgot her name. Let me remember. Ah, she's a lady, new age.
Louise Hay?
Louise Hay, thank you. I'm remember the time when my brain didn't fail. But yes,
What's
Louise
that?
Hay, I love her because I started
Yeah.
with her and it was easy. It was like you don't have to make great things. It's easy. Try
Yeah.
easy. So I started with her, and if someone asked me what to start with, I would start with her. And then I read other approaches in neuroscience. I'm going to forget all the names now.
No,
Um,
no. I think
Asaraf. I don't know if
Asaraf.
you
Oh
heard.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, I think he
I
has.
think he's in the secret, right?
He's in the secret, but
Yeah,
he's more into neuroscience
yeah.
and some things he called exercising. No, that is exercising your brain. And I love all the things he wrote about that. And I have a lot of things to tell you, but I as you see, I'm forgetting names, so please don't do that.
No, no worries. I wanted to get one book, which actually, to be honest, it's one of the books that I started with, which was Louise Hay. You can heal yourself. You
Hmm.
can heal your life.
Yes, that's right.
That's
I
actually
started
the
with
same
that
book that
too.
I started.
I started
One
with
book
that book.
one book that I love is I think the guy is actually Mexican. The Four Agreements.
Ah, the Four Agreements. Yes, sure,
Yeah,
of course. Basic,
that's a great
no?
book too.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Eh, eh,
I mean, there's a lot of literature over there, and even if you go to the, I don't know, religious books or different cultures, ancient cultures. It's like
Yeah,
everybody talks about the same thing. Everybody knows that's what's the way to do it and what's the way to live life. So it really doesn't matter what you start, but start. That's the
yeah,
important part. Start and open your mind because there was this book written by a Mexican guy also. I don't remember the name now, but it talked about personal growing. No, it was these books for helping, and I remember that I saw had it in my hands for like when I was 20 or something. And I read the book, and I said, ah, well, it makes a lot of sense to me what this man is saying. But as soon as I tell this story in one of my videos, as soon as I went with my group of friends and I started to talk about this book, everybody started to laugh about it and make jokes and said that very little sad people were the people who read this kind of self-help books. And so, of course, I closed the book. I put it in the bottom of a drawer and I never saw the book again because it was not my time. And sometimes you are so worried about what others would think of
yeah.
what you're reading and what you're learning and what you're starting to believe as new that you stop doing it just because of the fear of what everybody else is thinking about it. And the reality is that the rest of the people are not going to come and live your life. So you have to do it by yourself and be open to new ideas and new ways of thinking and making things.
Yeah, and that's what I like punk because it's punk is like you just be yourself and you don't worry about what anybody thinks. And that's actually what my goal with my kids and my goal with myself is just like I gotta do what I think is best for me. And it's interesting because like you mentioned like a lot of the stuff that I also went through, and I think like ancient history, it's very little looked into it, and there's a lot of answers through that. Like we're so focused on so many things, but those guys, of course, like they have a different lifestyle, but they have way other different technologies that we're not aware of it
That's
right
right.
now. Like we don't even have no idea how they did it, and it's worth to look at it because there's so much answer from it. And one of the reasons why I love rock and roll because rock and roll brings a lot of that in the lyrics. In some of the bands, they bring a lot of that stuff, and that's how I actually connected the dots in my life was like through rock and roll. Like I read a lot of books, but it was more like you read a book and then you listen to a song and then you're like, oh, that makes sense. Now they're talking about this, and then you start connecting the dots in your life, and you see that life it's something way more beyond like what we can explain with words. So
It's a matter of paying attention because music is a great way to connect. Music is,
yes,
I think it's the best way by
the
far.
by far,
And when you pay attention, you really receive the messages that you need to
yeah,
receive. It's incredible. It's incredible. But you have to be connected. You have to be
yes,
connected, and you have to be expecting things to happen, and be aware. Be aware and believing. It's 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 not the easy part to
yeah,
believe, to throw away everything you ever think was the correct
was
thing,
true, yeah, yeah.
but when you get there, it's
It's
incredible. And
worth it.
music, it's well, if you don't know where to start with music. It's great,
Start with music,
great,
exactly.
yeah.
Uh, Now, one question to finish. I know when you sent me the bio, you went through a lot of stuff in your life, and you still, within everything that you went through, you still have the power to want to share the message and want to be the change you wish to see in the world. where does that come from?
I think that it comes from the way I feel now. It and as I told you, the person that I used to be, and when I see how I used to be and how many people is in the same place, it's like I want to tell everyone that no, you don't have to live that way. Life can be so fantastic if you want to. So that's why I want to share that. I mean, just on my bio, I've been through many things, starting from my husband dying, and he was a very sick person. He was bipolar and have a lot of deals with depression and lots of things
Oh, really?
that were difficult, and so are things that get you and all the people around him, no? So at the end, he died, and I had to start it over with my kids and by myself and with all this bad thinking inside me, and it was very, very difficult. So the day I realized how life works if I wanted to, it's the day I decided I have to share this with everyone else. And it's funny because my mom is the most negative person I ever met, and she's the typical example of law of attraction. If something can go wrong, it will happen to
It
her.
will go wrong.
It will happen to her. So it's funny because when I started sharing some of my articles for the blog and things like that, and she went like, everybody thinks that. Everybody goes through that. And I said, yes, that's exactly the idea, that there's a lot of people going through the same thing. And if I can do something that in some moment makes the click with one person, I'm more than happy.
I think you said it all. Because like I feel the same way. It's like once you figure it out, it's almost like you want to take the pain out of the people. So like, listen, you don't need to be living like that. You just and it's difficult, and sometimes like it comes out as almost narcissists that you talk, but it's just like a way of trying to. But with time, I realized like all you need to do is share your story, really, like because, and I think that's when writing and comes into place where people can read. They will assimilate better. They assimilate better than actually in a video when they read. So I think I can back you up on that 100%.
I
And
think that I like to think that the message will go to the right person in the right
yeah,
moment. No?
yeah. So I'm very grateful that you came to my talk show, sharing great stuff. And if you
Thank you so
can
much
you
for
share?
inviting me.
Oh, thank you. Please share how people can find you, how people can get in touch with you, your blog, whatever you want to share.
Well, I think that they will have my Instagram here, no?
Yes,
They
yes,
can see it. They can. Ah, yes, I saw it. Huh? I
they
had to
can see
share it.
it.
I saw it. Okay,
Yeah.
they can get my Instagram here there, and if you from my Instagram you can go to my YouTube channel and you can see the videos I'm sharing. Of course, they are all in Spanish. I told you I didn't never done this and never in English. I was super
It's
nervous at
always
the
the first
beginning.
time.
Not anymore. But I was very nervous at the beginning. And they can go from there, from the Instagram to the YouTube directly, and they can find all my videos there.
I will post when I post a video on YouTube. I will post your Instagram. I will write it because it doesn't show there, but I will
Okay.
do that on the YouTube channel because this is gonna be saved. I can actually send you the video too. You can
Yes, please,
post
if you
on
can share it
your
with me. Yes, yes,
yes.
thank you.
I'll share it with you so you can post on your YouTube channel. And I thank you very much for coming. Uh, Rocio Cerdera, got it?
Rocío Cerdeira, that's right.
Oh, thank you
And
very
you have to
much.
meet some other time because I think we have a lot of things in common that we can talk about.
I think so too. I think once we started talking, I saw the connection in our paths. So
Hmm.
yeah, I have like now I have a schedule for the next month
Okay, don't
for
worry.
this show, but we can definitely organize another one. And I can try to use my Spanish a little bit because I speak a little bit of Spanish. But
Okay, now's your time to practice.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having
Thank
me.
you. Feel good.
See you. Bye
See you.
bye.
Bye.